This is the regular meeting of the Mobile City Council. Please stand for our invocation, led by Pastor Neil White. Remain for the Pledge of Allegiance.
May we pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to come together, Lord, as a community. Lord, right now we pray for our leaders, God, that as they lead us, God, they would seek guidance from the greatest leader there ever was, and that's you. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to gather together. We pray you would be honored in our actions and our words. And we give you this time to be honored and glorified in your Son's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd ask before we would get settled in our seats that we would observe a moment of silence for Tuscaloosa police officer Darnell Sept, who was shot down and life was claimed on yesterday in the city of Tuscaloosa. Father of two daughters, a decorated officer over a decade in the Tuscaloosa Police Department. If we could observe a moment of silence in his memory, that would be beautiful. Thank you.
Roll call, Vice President Manzi.
Here.
Councilmember Richardson.
Here.
Councilmember Small.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Daves.
Here.
Councilmember Rich.
Here.
Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Statement of rules.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. All right. Certainly glad to see each and every one of you here. And the rules of the council are as follows. We first ask that you turn off for silence all of your electronic devices upon entering the meeting. Any person desiring to address the council must sign in indicating the resolution, the ordinance, the appeal, or public hearing agenda item before entering the council meeting. When addressing the council, we ask that you clearly state for the record both your name and your address. Any person desiring to speak to the council on a non-agenda item must contact the city clerk's office on the Thursday preceding the Tuesday in which you'd like to speak by 2 p.m. We ask that all of your commentary be pertinent and germane to city of Mobile business. Any person that follows those instructions and directions won't be allowed to speak. Each speaker is granted 5 minutes to make a presentation. At the end of 4 minutes, you will hear the ringing of a bell. At the second ringing of the bell, that indicates that all of your time has elapsed, and we ask that you quickly take your seat. When addressing the council, we ask that there be no personal address to any individual council member. Make all of your statements and inquiries to myself, who serves as chair, and if any member of the council wishes to offer any commentary, they will have that ability. To maintain decorum, and this is important, to maintain decorum, there will be no undue applause and or public outcry allowed. Those are our rules. We're certainly glad to see all of you, and we appreciate your interest in municipal government. Madam City Clerk.
Approval of minutes September 10th.
So moved.
Been properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved.
Communications from the mayor.
Well, good morning. It's good to see everybody. Appreciate you coming to the city council meeting. I'll share a couple of things with you. One is that this past weekend I had the opportunity to participate in the ribbon cutting ceremony at Continental Motors. And for those who haven't been on the Brookley campus in a long time, when you come down Michigan Avenue and you drive, as soon as you cross overpass, coming down into Brookley, magnificent new facility. It is, Continental's been in business 100 years. this certainly should tee them up for the next 100. The equipment they're putting in this new facility is equivalent to the most sophisticated equipment that's used to build car engines, because Continental is building airplane piston engines. And to walk through that facility, to see the smiles on the face of those that are working there with their new work environment, it really makes me feel good. My comment was that all Mobilians would be proud to be able to walk through that facility and say we had something to do with them, having built it and all. One of the highlights of that opportunity was to meet Charles Lindbergh's grandson, who flew the first transocean flight from Europe to the United States. And his grandson is, I think, leveraging his grandfather's name and continues to be involved in aviation. Anyway, it's a very interesting opportunity for us to participate in it. The last comment I'd like to make is that there was a lot of conversation this morning about our recreation centers, and I can appreciate the conversation and the need for the council to understand what is going on, but I'm firmly of the opinion, and I know that Director Shonda Smith is going to do and is doing and will continue to do an outstanding job. She has the community at heart. She brought organization to the Parks and Rec, and that we did not have. But furthermore, because of her involvement on the national level with other Parks and Rec leaders all across the nation, she knows what best practices are. She knows how to engage the community. She knows how to protect our children and our senior citizens. So as this conversation continues to go on, I want everybody to understand that, yes, there is a change in the air, but at the end of the day, it will be for the benefit of all of us. Thank you very much.
Adoption of the agenda.
So move.
Second.
Probably moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is adopted.
Appeals, we have request for a waiver of the noise ordinance on October 5th on South Reed Avenue, October 4th on I-10 Industrial Parkway North, and October the 12th on Adams Street.
So move. Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Public hearings today is the public hearing to fix the cost for demolition of structures at 309 Irwin Street, 1754 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue, 2457 Dolphin Island Parkway, 703 Euclid Avenue, 614 Mohawk Street, and 4212 Zach Logan Avenue.
Is anyone here that would like to speak during any of these public hearings? The address is called. Madam City Clerk, could you read those addresses again?
The addresses are 309 Irwin Street, 1754 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue, 2457 Dolphin Island Parkway, 703 Euclid Avenue, 614 Mohawk Street, and 4212 Zach Logan Avenue. If there is anyone here that would like to address any of those properties, you can come forth now.
Anyone here? Then the public hearing closed.
Presentation of petitions and other public hearing to rezone property located at 5221 Cottage Hill Road, south side of Cottage Hill Road, 335 feet west of Demetropolis Road, from R1 to B2.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak with this particular public hearing? Then the public hearing is closed.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Yvonne Brazier.
I wanted to speak to the council concerning 503 South Broad Street, a section of land that's
Can we get your name and address, please?
Yvonne Brazier,
Yes, ma'am.
5854 Shadesview Drive, Mobile 36608. Now, we've had a ministry at 503 South Broad Street, which is part of the complex of South Bayou Plaza. This land was put on sale. It was a little for sale sign, totally unorthodox and unethical, because we found out a week ago that this land never should have been put on sale, that it's actually a part of the Bayou Plaza and the Housing Board. But I don't understand. The Knights of Revelry supposedly bought this land. What they bought was what used to be Old Naaman Store, which is right next door. And that shouldn't have even been bought by the Knights of Revelry, because all that area, that whole area is senior citizens and people that are disabled. That whole community is all about senior citizens and people that are disabled. And they are about 12 feet away from these people. We have pictures of these people sitting on their porch, and they are about 12 feet from this club. It's a club that they put in there, a club/party house, the Knights of Revelry. And we've been ministering on this land for 25 years. We've been out there. I have an article written by the Mobile Press Register, a whole half a page, talking about taking the church to the people is the name of the article. Sisters spread their message to the great outdoors. And when I first saw this sign, I felt like something was wrong. And when I went on and put in a bid, even though the bid it wasn't announced right, nobody discussed this with the people in the neighborhood. I talked to the lady that manages South Bayou, and she is so upset. We got petitions signed by the people that live there saying they don't want a club in their area. That's going to be a lot of loud noise. And some of those people, I know one girl can't even stand noise. Her nerves are real bad. The whole area is senior citizens and people that are disabled. And we have done a good work in that community. We have been the only light in that community. And why would the Knights of Revelry come to our community and put a club there? All this property downtown vacant, all these empty buildings vacant. They gonna put a club right in the middle of our community, where we are preaching and buying groceries and trying to help each other, the neighbors and everything. And the zoning is all wrong. That area that actually bought is zoned for a community business. It's a zone B3.
That's the first bill, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Continue on.
It's zone B3, which is considered community business. That is a nightclub. They have put a nightclub there for a social club, for a Mardi Gras association. And another thing I don't understand is the connection that the city council and the Mardi Gras seem like they bought Mobile out. We have rights too. And when I talked to this guy, Garden Buyer, he was telling me, well, the government say that it might be a HUD property, but it's a separation of state and religion. The separation of state and religions, That protects us. It's a clause, an establishment clause in that article that protects us. And it's no political nonsense going on there. We are totally ministering.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. That's your time, Minister.
Can I say one more quick thing?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am. That's your
Okay.
time, Minister Brazier, and we
Okay.
appreciate it. I happen to represent that district, District 2, and I've seen the plans that the Knights of Revelry have, and it's not a club. It is absolutely not a club. If it had been something of that nature,
You grown. You do
no,
not.
but ma'am, I listened to you intently for 5 minutes. I didn't just interrupt you.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, you're welcome to have your seat, Ms.
Yeah,
Brazier.
But you're not telling
Ms.
me
Brazier,
the
you're
truth.
welcome to have your seat.
And I talked to Mr. Simpson. and
Well,
he
talk to
told
him
me-
outside of this meeting. I'm asking you to have your seat, Ms. Brazier.
It hadn't been
Ms.
sold.
Brazier, I'm asking you, now, we got some people that can help you. It's not a club. And if it were a club, I live in that neighborhood. I don't know, ma'am, you gave an address of Shades Valley out in 36608. Ma'am, I'm not going back and forth with you. You had your time, please. You live out in 36608. I live 36603. I live in that immediate neighborhood. And I would not support anything that was going to be a detriment to my own neighborhood. Ma'am, I'm asking you one more time to cease from interrupting. Now, I did not interrupt you. It's my time. It's not a club. It is going to be a first-class meeting place for this Mardi Gras society. And when I look at what they have now, which is a dilapidated grocery store that nobody is using, and these individuals are going to come in and invest on that corner and bring up the property values of each and every person in that community, I am in full support. And this allegation that everybody in that neighborhood is old and disabled is absolutely untrue. Everybody down the bay is not old. I'm down there, and I'm not old, and I'm not disabled. Miss Brazier, I'm trying hard, respecting that you're a woman of the cloth. So I am answering what you alleged here in front of all of us. It's not a club, and the allegation that this particular ministry is the only light in the community, that's not true. You got St. Peter Baptist, St. Joseph Baptist, St. Luke Baptist. You got all kind of churches over there and pastors who live in that community. Well, you're welcome to. I'm going to wait till you leave out. I'm going to respect you like you would not respect me. And this is the light of the world. You showing the light of the world. God bless your soul. Yes, ma'am. He's going to do it. And he's going to bless that community with a first-class facility that we can rent and everything else right in our neighborhood. And the other parcels of land, you already was on a parcel of land. There are other parcels of land. If you're interested in spreading the gospel, find the next parcel and keep preaching. I got one, 711 Elba Avenue, every Sunday. St. Joseph Missionary Baptist Church. But I don't want it to be said and it to be going out in the neighborhood that we're allowing something that's going to be a detriment. It's going to be a plus for the Down the Bay community. And if it wasn't a plus, I would not have supported. I talked with Ms. Brazier at length. Ms. Brazier had no resources. She wanted to bid $1 for the land. And if you've been out there 25 years, you should have built up some money to buy the land. And so I don't appreciate allegations of that nature. I take representing my district seriously, and that's my home base. That bay, and I'm not letting anybody do nothing to hurt Down the Bay. It's in my neighborhood. Now, Mr. Roberts, if you wanted to add something to, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, I think you've thoroughly outlined the end use of the property, but I'll go through how the city got it. It was part of the reversion of assets from Housing Board when CEBG was dismantled over there and brought back to the city. The city never used the property. We've never had any nonprofit associated with us use the property at all. It sat dormant for about 9 years. I don't believe the Housing Authority ever actually used it either. They just acquired. There is a very specific section in CEBG regulations that prohibit religious activity on federally funded property. We didn't know she was on the property until after we put the property up for sale, and once she told us about it, we told her she could buy the property outright. When she said she couldn't afford it, we offered to help her find other property in the nearby area. She's not taken us up on that offer yet.
Did this council already deem this as no longer needed to?
Yeah, this was sold May of 2018.
Yeah, all right. Thank you.
Yes.
We have a proclamation from Councilman Fred Richardson.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask Mr. Maurice DeRoy Thomas II to come down. The month of September has been declared Hydrocephalus Awareness Month, and Maurice is heading this up, and he has got officials from the University of South Alabama to join him in advocating for this month and for his effort in advocating for those that's declared to be a hydrocephalus. I would like to issue a proclamation on his behalf and on behalf of the rest of those people who find themselves in this situation. And the resolution reads, whereas Mobile's inaugural Hydrocephalus Awareness fundraising event will be held on Saturday, September 21st, 2019 at the USA Children and Women's Hospital, hosted by Mr. Maurice Leroy Thomas II, Dr. Anthony Martino, Chairman of the U.S. Department of Neurosurgery, along with the collaborative support from USA Health Children and Women Hospital. Whereas hydrocephalus, which impacted over 1 million people, is an incurable neurological condition and causes cerebral spinal fluid to build up in the brain cavity, resulting in increased pressure inside the head and enlarged verticals, which has only one common treatment: installation of a shunt via brain surgery. And whereas Hydrocephalus Association, founded in 1983 by parents of children with hydrocephalus, is the nation's largest, most respected advocacy group dedicated to the improvement of the quality of life for victims of these conditions. And whereas September 1st, 2016 Congress, joined by 16 states, declared the month of September as National Hydrocephalus Awareness Month. And whereas Maurice, diagnosed with hydrocephalus at 6 months old and endured brain surgery, is an active Mary G. Montgomery High School senior whose goals is to attend Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee, earn an PhD in clinical psychology, establish an awareness walk, along with having
the state of Alabama designed a car tag supporting his condition. Now, therefore, I, Frederick D. Richardson Jr., member of the Mobile City Council District 1, along with members of the City Council, do hereby proclaim September 2019 as National Hydrocephalic Awareness Month all over the city of Mobile. I've been knowing Maurice since he was a child, and we're going to his father's in our church. His mother's sitting right here, and outstanding is an outstanding family. I have Maurice come and just tell us anything you want us to know, Maurice.
I appreciate this proclamation because nobody really knows about this condition that I've lived with for the majority of my life. But I'm not going to speak too much. I have gifts for you guys that I've received from the Hydrocephalus Association, and I would like for y'all to receive them with warm hearts.
Thank you.
I want Maurice up here. Okay. I want you to come up here and make a picture of all of the council members. What you're down here advocating for is important, and a lot of people don't know nothing about it. Right. We're going to put you worldwide, brother. Follow me.
Moved in closer. Makes it easier. Discuss. Tighten up. Mayor?
Yeah, Fred, you and the mayor. Go to the water.
All right, Mayor, turn the light on. All right.
Ken Crombush.
Good morning, members of the City Council and staff. I'm Ken Cronebush. I live at 9975 Hampton Court, 3695. So before you throw me out of here, I'm not here representing the county. I'm here representing the city and the recreation centers. First, let me say to his honor, I appreciate what you said, and I know your staff means well, but an empty recreation center, an unused recreation center benefits no one. Period, no matter how you code it. Today, I'm here because we have new application procedures that are well-intentioned, but I think will hurt us in the long run for our recreation centers. I challenge you to take the application process and go through it first as a $1 per class sewing instructor, second as a free sewing instructor. Go through it, see how far you go before you say, oh no, I'm not going to do this. It'll be at the public license or at the $300,000 liability insurance requirement at some point, or the facility use agreement, which conveniently is not included. You have to beg to get a copy. You ought to know what you're going to sign before you pay $18.50 for a background check, which for adults teaching adults is already, and or go through a class. It's a class you don't need. You've been doing this stuff, and you shouldn't have to prove it to anyone if you want to do it on a voluntary basis. Now you get into the user's agreement that you finally get. It says in the whereases, I've given you copies. I had the clerk provide you copies. I hope you have them. I hope you got them. You're all one at that point in time. You're all one and the same. We're one big happy family, a community looking to provide good programs in the recreation centers. Dance classes, by the way, were started by the city over 20 years ago to get people into the centers. You've seated, we have over 480 members right now. We're all working at different centers, taking dance classes at night or in the daytime. All free. There's never been a charge, never been a demand for a charge. So we got into go to that agreement. That agreement is 12 pages of, wait a minute, I got you. We love you up here, but Article 5, Article 6, and Article 10 hangs you out to dry with no doubt. You're completely liable if anything happens. I would point out that in the 20 years we've done dance classes, there have been no incidences, no lawsuits, nothing against the city, and nothing against this instructor. But under this thing, if you break a finger or you run that needle through your finger and you decide to sue the city, that instructor is held liable completely. The city's out of it. If he doesn't show up in court, the city does and bills that person. And then to make it worse, in Article 10, E, F, and G, it says, you are a subcontractor on your own. We can terminate you at any time. And this, you're going to go through all of this for 1 year at a time. And we're told we're grandfathered in now, so with the agreement, we only have to look at page 1 and sign this thing. Nowhere in that document, council members, does it say that. All I'm saying is if you want us to sign something, we're happy. We sign, we play by rules. We're all grown-ups, seniors and regular working people. We'll do whatever you want. But make it clear. Is it or is it holding me liable if I'm a volunteer teacher going to teach dance classes that have had no problems for years? You want me to take the liability for that if somebody falls? An easier solution would be a hold harmless agreement that each grown-up signs and is witnessed and kept on file. It says the city's not liable, the council's not liable, the instructor's not liable. It's a piece of cake, and you can modify the agreement in such a way that it says that. It shows that. It should clearly explain what parts of that agreement in your status you are responsible for. I think that's more than reasonable. If we can get that done, if you can make that happen, I think you'll keep classes in the centers. Sullivan used to have a dance class. They moved out. Dutch just moved out and won't come back. We don't want to leave the centers. We love supporting these centers. We just need your help. Secondly, you've got an issue where we can no longer do monetary transactions. Monetary transactions need common sense. We support the Black Mardi Gras organizations. We support heart and cancer research. We support the Kingdom Covenant Connection. These folks annually raise funds for their charities that come back to this city. Tell us we can't support them by selling tickets. We don't put a dime in our pocket. It goes right back to them, which comes back to the city. Just does not make sense. I implore you guys to make sure we fix this, that we can sign an agreement that's decent and holds us harmless as well, and we can continue to support these most worthwhile organizations. I don't have to sell Black Mardi Gras to you. They come to the parades. They fill up the streets. And they give back to the community. Children's and center programs, food for the homeless. The Dragons and the Strikers alone just do a ton of stuff. So I shouldn't have to sell that. You all know that. I'm here today saying we need your help because an unused facility does nothing for anyone. If you run us out, that's what happens. Thank you for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, now you all heard those rules at the beginning of the meeting. No undue applause or public outcry. Y'all know the rules. Come on.
Don't
Thank
throw
you.
them out, please.
Thank
Don't
you.
throw
I'm
them out.
not throwing anybody out. Thank you, Mr. Bush.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Michael Whitsett.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Councilman, Mr. Mayor, it's a pleasure to be here today with you guys. First of all, I would like to state my name is Michael Whitsett, W-H-I-T-S-E-T-T, and I live at 5322 Bathfork Road, Mobile, 36618. I'm going to give you guys just a little bit of history on the line dance class that I've been a part of. I came across the class 2005. There were instructors on staff, Miss Minnie Wiley, and we have Mr. Gerald Stevens that's back here somewhere that actually took care of these classes, and they were workouts and they were good for the community. We enjoyed them, and it was a good place where adults could come together, exercise, and fellowship in a safe place. These instructors were retired and were not replaced. Myself and others in the class were asked to step up and lead the class rather than have them clowns. We were more than happy to do so. After all, this is what this community is about, helping others when we can. Okay, I'm not sure the date, but I was asked to attend a meeting of volunteers where we were informed the new policy of background checks would be in place. I felt that just having the volunteers pay for it seemed a bit much, as we have not been given a clear understanding of what benefits accreditation would bring to the city. But there must have been a cost analysis of weighing pros and cons of this move. If this was done, I would think that paying for the background checks of your loyal staff of free labor should have been included in the budget. When we was talking about this contract, I got a facility agreement that was 12 pages long. And let me say 12 pages for someone that's doing a free class. What do you think about that? 12 pages for a free class. I'm doing this free, nothing going on. Okay? So what really gave me cause this alarm was Article 5, which has something to do with liability. And I'm thinking that the city might have some kind of already insurance policy on their properties for anything that might happen to a person on their property. I didn't feel that by me being on disability with limited funds that I could afford to take on such a burden, which I thought that it already would cover. I understand that change is good. Times change is wonderful. But to try to take somebody kicking and dragging and sitting down and explaining what you're doing. You got people here that loves this city, that try to do everything they can for this city, and we can't get a straight answer. I hadn't been able to sit down with the people that was in charge of this and say, well, Mike, what do you need to be a better volunteer? What does the group need at the Dodge Center? What do the people need at the Spring Hill Rec Center in order to make this a better thing? I was never consulted, never asked, and nobody that I know was asked about this. Instead, I was given a 12-page contract by Mr. Jack Green, who came in the middle of my class one night and told me that if I didn't sign this, I was jeopardizing my class and I would no longer be able to teach this class after September 3rd. Okay? And this thing about this contract was not handled across the board unifiably. I was talking to other people who had never got contracts, who had never signed contracts, and seemed like to me that I was the only one forced out. I did have to leave. They told me not to be there after September 3rd. I think everybody else is still pretty much having their classes until they do this. But I have gone, I found another place, but I still enjoy the idea of having the city recs having these classes because they are much needed. They are a good place for people to be, and it keeps people off the street and in a safe environment. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I do. I have a couple questions. Mr. President, Vice President, you said that a Jack Green came to you?
Yes.
Is this Jack Green?
He works for the city rec department. He hand delivered me my city.
So it wasn't Jack Green, the insurance guy, correct?
No, unless he sells insurance at another time. I'm not sure. I didn't know this is the guy that works for the city. He works in the office on Sage Avenue.
Oh, okay.
Jack Green, see?
Okay. So where are you having classes at now?
Now, they found a need for us in the city of Pritchett. The Pritchett Housing Authority got it. One of my class was calling around because everybody was devastated because he came in the middle of my class and told me that I was through, that I was in my class if I didn't sign this agreement. Now, I tell you, they said that some of this stuff in this agreement didn't pertain to me, but I feel like this. If I sign something and it goes before a judge, and he looks at that stuff that's written down there, and it doesn't say anything about, well, this doesn't pertain to you, it pertains to you. That's my understanding of it. Anything that's written, it will be superseded by any verbal thing that you would say. So, I found a place. They think that it's going to work out there. We got a good group, and we're going to be better and better. We're not going to stop doing what we're doing. But I think if you guys look at things, and if it's going to be something that's accreditation going to bring to, going to make things better for the city, I'm all for that. I'm all for banking. But what is the cost of it? You cannot do all of this stuff and lose your soul. Thank you.
Let me ask. You
I'll wait till you finish.
Let me ask, you say you're teaching where now?
I was teaching at the Dodge Center in Trinity Garden and the Spring Hill Center on Spring Hill Avenue.
And now you're holding your classes where?
I'm holding my class at the William Bill Clark Center on Main Street in Pritchett.
See, we definitely want you back in Mobile.
Well, I understand.
Definitely
that.
want you
but
back
you know
in
when somebody knock you down and somebody pick you up, it's hard for you to just put them aside.
Well, you can get picked up again.
Yeah.
We want you back in Mobile. We
Yeah.
don't want you over
But I think
no
some of you-
disrespect, Mr. Councilman Martin up there, but we want him back in Mobile.
Yeah.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes, Michael, are you in a public building?
Yes, it is. Well, I think it belongs to the housing board, the Pritchett Housing Board.
It's a public
Yeah.
building. That is a public
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
So do you have insurance over there?
No, what is going on there that each individual had to sign a hold harmless waiver.
Right.
And I had no problem with that. Nobody has any problem with signing a waiver. But for me personally, to be responsible if somebody gets hurt, even if the case is dismissed,
That's your point.
if the case is dismissed, I still might be liable for your lawyer fees, the city's lawyer fees, or any other incidental fees that they decide to tack on there.
We discussed that at length this morning in our pre-council meeting, and I think you're going to hear a message from the administration addressing that situation. I want to know, before Mr. Green came to you, did anyone call all of you teachers together to share with you what was getting ready to happen, or that there will be some changes?
Right.
Did anybody call all of you all together to say, we are getting ready to change the policies and let us explain to you what's going on? Did that happen at the Dodge Center while you were there?
No, it didn't happen at the Dodge Center, but we were called to a meeting at the office on Sage Avenue where there were some people that were giving the meeting, and they made reference to the fact that things were changing, but they did not seem to have a whole lot of information on what was going on. And matter of fact, one of the persons there said that we are going to allow you to continue to do these classes, when I'm thinking that, hey, I'm doing a community service. We're in this together. And for you to say that you allow me to do things, it really diminished what I was doing, trying to make things better in the community.
Okay, I made my point clear this morning. As council members, we had absolutely no knowledge of what was happening to you all.
Okay.
Very well familiar with your work and what you do. You've been doing it for a long time. You're good at what you do. And I made it clear this morning to the mayor and the administration that what happened at these community centers, that the city had hired help up there that we was paying, that was sitting down. They had no interaction with the community. It was nothing for you all that lived in the community to do. They were just drawing a check. So on your own, to get some exercise, y'all started a line dancing class up there so you can get off the couch and go up there. And here come the city saying, go back. No.
Yeah.
I said that if they're going to, and I said this morning, if the city going to require you all to do all of that, the person we paying at these centers ought to be able to teach line dances.
Thank
They're getting a check.
Right.
They ought to advertise in the community. Say line dances is coming up Wednesday.
Right.
And then you don't have to go through it. You got to have prayer.
Thank
And
you.
no,
That's
you
the way
don't have
it
to
was
go
when it
through all of
started.
that.
That's the way it was
If the
started.
city's own personnel can do
Right.
that, my goal is for you all to get back in there. When it comes down to the $18, we've made it clear that council members are willing to pay that for you all. So you won't have to do that. So we want to hear whatever obstacles that you are faced with. We want to face them, get them out of the way. We want you in Pritchett. The next thing we know, you're going to be in Saraland. We want you.
But Mr. Richardson,
we don't want the citizens and the city
I'm going to tell you this.
to head to no other municipality to get exercise. We want them, especially you talking about the Dutch,
Yeah.
talking about my brother.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you.
The Dodge Center is the first community center built in the city of Mobile. We only had recreation centers before Fred Richardson came on this council. I refused to build a recreation center for the children. I built a community center for the family.
That's right.
And the family was going up there line dancing.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, the rules, let's stick with them.
Okay, but
All right. Thank you so much for
Yes,
your
sir,
time.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We have one more signed in for, was that it? The speakers for the, okay.
Robert Coleman.
he is from Trinity Garden.
While he's coming, I want to recognize one of my church members who I didn't know was a line dancer, Miss Dorothy. She get to church and sit like, never mind. But good to see you, Miss Stone. God bless you.
Just for 1 second.
Yes, sir.
I would like to recognize my granddaughter, Maya Lawson, who's going to be a line dancer. Stand up, Maya.
Dance on, Maya.
She's waiting on her time. So y'all hurry up and get this thing straight so Maya can learn how to line.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Robert Coleman. I live at 2662 Banks Avenue, Mobile, Alabama, 36617. I'm also involved with this contract deal. It's a contract. It's nothing but a contract. I signed it. And I asked him before I signed it, Mr. Green was there, and also the director was there, the new director from New Orleans. I asked her, I said, if I sign this, am I liable for everything on here? She said, no, you're not, because you're grandfathered in. If I'm grandfathered in, then why should I have to sign this 12 contract? She said, well, go ahead and sign it, and I said, what about page? I went through some pages with her. And she said, well, that don't pertain to you. It don't pertain to everything I asked her. She said, it don't pertain to you. Well, if I go through this, and I did sign it, everything, right now, I'm liable for everything on this contract, whether I want to be or not. I teach swing dancing at the Dodge Community Center. I teach from 5 to 8. Sometime when like last week I got there, I was held up because there were some kids from the Boys and Girls Club held up. I couldn't set up equipment. I spent over $3,000 last week just to take part in this class, to do this class for Trinity Garden. And I was born in Trinity Garden. I've been there since 1946. I was born there. I was bred there. I'll be there from now on. I'll be at the Dodge Community Center from now on. And something like this is something that will run people off. I've been asked to come to Pritchard also to teach swing dancing. Oh, I've been asked to come. And I've told also that there is a facility over there waiting on me. I don't want to do that. All right?
Don't do it, brother.
I don't want to do that. All right. This contract that I signed kind of got me nervous. I'm going to tell you the truth. It's got me nervous and shaky. Because if something happens, I'm liable. Right now. I am liable. And this has been through lawyers' hands, and it's been through attorneys' hands. And right now, if something happens there, I'm broke. Thank you. Any questions?
I would just say that we have an outstanding director of Parks and Recreation, Ms. Shonda Smith, sitting right over here. We got full faith and credit in her. We will work this out.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. Somebody needs to work it out because I'll stay put right now. I have class tonight. Swing dance class tonight. We have people come from Atmore, Alabama. We have people come, a van load of people come from Moss Point, Mississippi. We have people come from Pensacola, Florida, down to the Dodge Community Center to swing dance. And they enjoy themselves. I'll be there from night, and I'll be there until somebody tells me something different. I'm not going anywhere. Thank you.
Ms. Shonda Smith, who is our new senior director over Parks and Recreation, and she, again, as my colleague just said, she comes with an incredible amount of experience and expertise in this particular level of city government. And I know between her expertise and the interest of the leaders of this swing dance and line dance community. Hopefully something can be worked out, and that's what I'm hopeful for.
Well, I met with Ms. Smith when she first came aboard, and she's a very nice person, I admit. But I had no idea that she was going to implement the program, that she was going to implement so early, so fast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're willing to make the change, whatever change she wants to make. That's no problem. We have equipment, we have people, we have personnel. You know, just work with us. That's what we're asking for.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, so all we're asking is work with us.
Ms. Smith?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I want to start off by saying I haven't had the opportunity to meet with any of the people who have presented, so it was never brought to me to address, but I do want to give a timeline that's important to talk about when all of this came up.
Mr. Coleman, yes. you can have your seat.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. No, already sitting down. All right. Ms. Smith?
So I started here in January. I'm started in March and April, and I did a full tour of all the community centers and went out and did a community engagement to allow the opportunity for people to come and talk about changes that they wanted to see, things that they're having issues with, so I can be aware when I'm making changes what things are going on. I also came and met with the city council in April, May to talk about the program partnership and what was being rolled out to the community. In June, we met with all current instructors to inform them what was getting ready to happen for the fall semester, meaning they had 2 to 3 months in order to ask questions, to be aware of what was happening, so that it wasn't right now that we will be having this question, these questions that we have. So it was in June when we had about 3 meetings to meet with all instructors that were participating at that time. And so for free instructors, they are required to do background checks. And I want to say that this is national standard. There's no way, whether you're working with kids or adults, that you go somewhere and not have to do a background check. And I keep hearing that people keep saying nothing has happened. I work proactively. I don't want anything to happen on my watch. And so we put this in place so if something comes up, we're already prepared. The bigger thing that people seem to be talking about is the liability. And with this process, with the facility use agreement, it holds them accountable like we're accountable. And the reason that is because I will tell you, in the past, we didn't know who was teaching in our sites. Most people didn't know what classes were happening, and we need to know what's going on. And so in order to do that, this was a way to corral all instructors so they all report to an administrative person at the office. So Jack Green is one of our coordinators that oversee classes. Before that, every center had their own classes, and we didn't know what was going on. So this allows for that. But this also there's a clause, and Ricardo may chime in later to confirm what I'm saying about a recreational use. So the facility use agreement does not make you take full liability. What we ask is that you take liability for what you teach. So if you are teaching line dancing, we don't ask if you have any certificate, if you got CPR, that if you teach someone incorrectly and someone ends up hurt due to your negligence, we should not take responsibility of that. But we do take responsibility for the class, meaning if someone slips and falls, the city takes that full responsibility. So I think what I'm hearing is the lack of full understanding of what the facility use agreement is and what it does. And it's a memorandum of understanding. If you read it, it lists what the city will provide for the instructors, and it also lists what the instructors will provide for the city. And then I know someone said something about selling tickets. I want to make this clear. There are some things that are said at centers that does not filter up to the top. And so I'm not familiar about selling tickets or not being allowed to sell tickets for whatever purpose that is.
Mr. Chair, Ms. Smith, you had also mentioned at our pre-conference meeting the possibility of waivers of at the facilities where these classes are ongoing, that there could be a waiver agreement. Can you explain?
Yes. We talked about in pre-council is that the instructors have the authority to do waivers for their classes if they choose. It has nothing to do with the city. It's an individual instructor concern that they can address on their own. So if you wanted to do waivers, hold harmless agreements, then you can do that with your students.
If we were willing, was that it, Ms. Griffin? If we were willing to cover the cost associated with the background checks for the volunteers through discretionary. And those individuals who are the instructors were willing to disseminate these hold harmless agreements. Would that solve the issue, essentially?
So it would solve the issue for background checks, which is a third party, so you would not be paying us to do the background check, but it does not solve the issue for the facility use agreement. They will still need to fill out the facility use agreement and sign that agreement.
Can I get clarification about using discretionary funds? I understand you use a third party to do that research. It's not through a police department, in other words.
It's a national background.
Right. Okay, I respect that. Do I need to get some clarification that it is okay that that would be a public service if a
Public
council
purpose.
person wanted to absorb that for their centers?
Absolutely. We wouldn't have any problem with that. That's, I mean, you're designating funds for a public purpose, and I don't think there is anything greater than the public by providing either, protection or providing the services that get provided in this center. I mean, these instructors are clearly providing a public service.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Quick.
Sure, yes, ma'am.
So when it started, this was something, let me say this, we have hundreds of athletic coaches that are doing the same service, and they've been doing background checks for years, and they have not complained about it, and no one is paying their background checks.
Well, I was thinking about people who volunteer and there are no fees exchanged or anything, so.
Right. Same thing with the code. I think there's, and Councilman Davis may remember this, when we went through the first iteration, it was only back in 2015 that we started pushing across the board, at least an effort to do so. But what Smith is doing is making sure it's comprehensive. Employees, volunteers, anyone who comes into contact in our centers or in our parks with children or adults, they go through background checks for protection purposes, and that's just something that needs to be implemented. I want to address two things, too, because from a non-lawyer standpoint, people say things that appear to be true, and they don't get challenge checked. And so one thing I want to tell you all, the city doesn't have an insurance policy that covers individual centers. It is a self-insured up to $1 million per claim. I think you all know that, but it's important that we emphasize that. So anytime that we get sued dealing with our centers, that is taxpayer dollars being expended. And so you got to think of two things. One, it does happen. Clearly, these lawsuits are usually not very high profile, but it happens on a regular basis. Just had one settled a couple of weeks ago. Two, we have, and it was dealing with a person who was from out in the community who came into a facility and then was harmed. And so that happens on a regular basis. But the facility use agreement that you're dealing with here, two things about indemnity. One is we're only asking that the people who are in the centers be responsible for their own actions. Okay, that's number one. Not for the actions of an employee or anything that happens in the facility that has nothing to do with them. It says that. The second part of it is to the extent they're working with us, all right, and something is blamed on the city that's not there, we have the option to ask them to indemnify. Typically what happens is we just defend. But you want to be able to make sure that you're holding people responsible for their own activities, especially when it puts the city in harm's way. And so that's the reason for the information that you're talking about. When Ms. Smith mentioned the hold harmless being a possibility, that is something that the individual instructors would be able to give their students and say, hey, I'm shielding myself from liability. And so that's what you would want to do, but that's completely up to the instructor. That's between them and the people in the classes. We don't have to be overly complicated here. We just want to make sure that people have a good time in our facilities and that we adequately protect them and the city.
Well, Ms. Smith, of course, I can't issue a directive. That's not my purpose. But I think we've had three of the leaders of this organization or this group of individuals who come down here and express some concerns. Mr. Mayor, if there could be a meeting with Ms. Smith and them to kind of make this as less complicated as possible and go through with them what the process might be. I think that really would be helpful, because I believe our overall goal is to make certain that Mobilians can learn step dancing, line dancing, and other dancing in Mobile. We don't want them to have to go to Pritchard. We don't want them to have to shop in Pritchard. We don't want to have to do none of that in Pritchard. Only thing I want to do in Pritchard is come to church in Pritchard, 711 Elba Avenue, Mr. Stone. And so I hope you all could get together and, walk through the process, since it's not as complicated as maybe some would believe, and get the matter resolved.
Vice President?
Mr. Small?
Yeah, I'd like to join in asking the mayor also to, if he can get with legal department and Ms. Smith and the steppers, and also if it's possible for the city could show them an example how a waiver should be for to make sure that the instructors themselves are protected. And if anybody want to line dance in District 3 and they're not charging, I am willing to take my discretionary funds and put towards the background check also. I am a firm believer about background checks, especially when you're dealing with children and elderly people, because you have so many people that comes in as Moses and they act like they have good intentions, and our elderly is in love with them and they prey on our elderly. So I do believe in the background check, but anybody that has any type of class in District 3 and they're not charging, I am willing to take my discretionary funds and put towards their background check, because again, my job is to protect the interests of the public, and the Bible tells us to also look after our elderly and our children, and that's my job, and that's what I'm going to do. And I continue you all to be strong and keep on dancing, because again, I know that most of the people that also are instructors, they cannot afford the background check, even though it's nothing but $18, but the $18 go towards your medicine, the gas bill, mortgage, and et cetera. But I don't want no $18 to keep someone from going out and helping other people to live healthy. Matter of fact, we have one individual in the audience now, I believe she's 75 years old, and she's a bodylifter. Can you raise your hand?
All right.
Yeah. That's not you. You ain't 75. But yeah, she's 75 years old and she's a bodylifter. weightlifter. So we got plenty of people out there that keeping, healthy and keep our people in our communities healthy. And that's one thing that we have to do, make sure that our people live and stay healthy. Thank you, Vice President Manzi.
No problem at all, Mr. Small.
Mr. Chair?
Ms. Gregory?
Thank you. I certainly appreciate all of the volunteers who have been teaching dance, swing dance, and everything else, and I'm really interested in that swing dance. And if you would like another opportunity at another city facility, how about checking out Hillsdale? The swing dancers?
Yes, Eric Lovett.
Eric Lovett? Okay, I didn't see him down here, so I was going to... Okay, well, there we go. So if he contacts me or anybody else, I'll join my colleagues in trying to help make it happen for your background checks. But I agree with Mr. Manzi and, of course, Ms. Smith here, who is more than willing to work with everybody to help explain some of these things, because I think we understand that the facility use agreement has been confusing and lengthy. So getting together and going through all of this and making sure that all of the issues are resolved is very important, because we want to continue having all of these programs, at our rec centers. I have tried line dancing before at Hillsdale with some of the instructors out there, and for the life of me, I have no rhythm, and I just have a very tough time. And it's really frustrating, because some of the women who were there every week are 80 years old and up, dance circles around everybody else. And so it's really great to see, and I just want to encourage you all to keep up what you're doing, and just know that, everybody is here to work with you.
That's right.
And help keep it going.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Richardson?
I also want you to know that from my District 1 discretionary funds, we're having new floors put in the Dodge Center and at the Figure Center, brand new floors. And our fear is this, that we don't want this we don't want coming into our facility to be so legal that would disallow our children from coming in there to play. It's a basketball court inside these facilities, and we don't want these children stopped at the door saying, show me your $18 and this, that, and the other. It's put there for the children, for the family. And we don't want to get so legal that we bar them from coming into the facility. It's got to be open. It's got to be a safe haven. It's got to be a place where you always can be safe when your children are at this facility, but we can't have so much legal tapes that they can't even get in the facility. So it is something we got to keep our eyes on. These facilities belong to the public. You own them, and you're going to have to be able to use them. That's all I'm saying.
I want to say to the crowd that is assembled here, one of my main concerns over the last 5 years that I've served on this council has been the activity and the lack of in our community centers. I probably have more community centers in District 2, community recreation, however you want to name it, in District 2 than any other district. From Plateau to Thomas Sullivan, we just put new floors in both of those facilities. And there's been a lack of activity, programmatic activity in all of these buildings. The answer to that was found in New Orleans. Shonda Smith. So what she's doing is putting in a infrastructure so that she knows who's participating in what sport, who's participating in what activity, and have the numbers to back all of that up so that if they need additional activity here or additional activity there, then you'll have it. What we had before was just kind of hodgepodge. People showed up when they wanted to, got with their local community center director, programmed something. Nobody at the head office knew what was going on. In other words, she's bringing structure, and with structure comes some challenge. With structure comes challenge.
Right.
And so this is a challenge, but it's not a challenge that you all are not going to be able to meet, and it's not a challenge that she's not going to be able to meet. Working together, this issue can be resolved. To see this number of people here in the middle of the day is quite impressive. You could have been home watching whether or not Victor Newman was dead or not. Because I know some of y'all want to know.
What you know about that?
Oh, well, Mama tell me about it every evening. Said Victor dead.
Councilman Mimsy.
My point is, yes, I did. Mama told me he died last night. My point, all of these ladies and gentlemen could have been at home resting on their laurels. They've come here today to say that this is important.
Let us see.
And I know, I have absolutely no doubt. I've talked with her. I believe in her vision. She's an expert at this. She's bringing structure so that all of us can have the programmatic activity in our community centers that the citizens deserve. You deserve more than just empty warehouses of nothingness. And that's what she's trying to do. And I applaud her for it.
Amen.
Thank you. I want to close out with this. I believe in programming. That is my background. I believe every center should be packed from the time it opens to the time it closes, and that's what we're working on. But my request in closing is that it's also important about communication. And like I said, this is my first time knowing about this much of an issue is when I was told to come to the city council meeting, that this could have been addressed because of misconfusion, misunderstanding of this by coming or requesting to meet with me. My email, I can give them my cards, and I would say the same to push them back here, because to bring it here, it almost gets into a place of there could have been several conversations had before we made it to this level, and it was never brought to my attention.
Well, Ms. Fowler, if you could make certain, no, I'm so sorry, sir, no, sir. Ms. Fowler, Mr. Cronebush, I'm so, come on. Ms. Fowler, if you could make certain that Ms. Smith has the name, address, and contact numbers of the individuals who spoke here today so that they can be in communication, that would be so helpful, if you don't mind. And then also share Ms. Smith's contact information with them so that the lines of communication can be wide and open. Thank you so much. Madam City Clerk.
Eddie Irby.
Thank all of you for coming. When it comes back to Spring Hill, I'm going to come and get a little down on myself. All right. Ms. Fowler, you have all the information. The three speakers, if you could hold 1 second, Mr. Coleman, Mr. Crony Bush, and I forget the other person. Well, I guess we have it.
We have all this in our packets. We could get.
Good to see all of you. Miss Dorothy Stone is a stepper. Mr. Irby.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Eddie Irby, 1116 Richard Road, 36618. I just have one question for you, Mr. Vice President, and the rest of it I can leave the information with you. But I'd like to know myself, can you share any information on the whereabouts of the contents in the old African American Museum? I am especially concerned about it because my uncle's Purple Heart is in there. And he didn't earn that Purple Heart for it in a box and shelved on the sofa, couch, or in a storeroom somewhere. Can you share any information on that, please?
No, sir. That would be administrative.
Oh, okay, all right. The part is, I passed these out. These are, we just had a program for 9/11 over at the cemetery where we had found out 2 weeks ago on the third page there, three of these people here, one is from Mobile, but the two women, one's from Pritchard, one's from Bruton. The 25-year-old served in Bosnia, Germany, and Korea. All three of them was at the Pentagon when the plane hit. Those families are now here in Mobile. We intend to do a special service for them at Steel Creek for our Veterans Day program, which you guys will get an invitation to. But you can take the paperwork and read it while you're having your lunch or your coffee later on during the day. But that's all I want to know, number one, about the museum. You've asked that. But this, if you would, please, this is very, very important. It's been 18 years, and we don't know how that got by us, but when the information was sent to us, we got them. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Can I comment about the African American? Is that the museum you were making reference to?
Yes.
I believe the county, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. The county leases that facility from the city and has for something over a year. So the county should be able to talk to you about the contents.
Right.
If you'll give them a call.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Vice
And
President.
again, thank you for all your efforts there at the
Oh,
Oak
by the
Lawn
way,
Cemetery.
we are almost at the 900 mark at Oak Lawn. And we met with the management of Home Depot last week, so this week they'll be out there also.
Wonderful. You're doing a great job with that. I appreciate you.
Mary Ambrose.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing? My name is Mary Ambrose. I live at 2400 Bunchy Road, really on Stanton Road. My city council is Richardson.
Yes.
This is a deep concern. It have been a really bad situation for me. I was coming down. Well, let me start from here. I know I don't have that much time, but I've been a citizen for Mobile all of my life. I'm 52, and I love Mobile. It's a lot that went on where they fixed the roads in Mobile. Then someone would come in and tear it up. I was coming from downtown Mobile on May the 24th. And as I was coming down Spring Hill, it was about dark. All of a sudden, my vehicle, I have a Dodge Adventure 2010, it just made this sound, BAM! And when it made that sound, the guy that was with me, and I was just still with my hand on the steering wheel. At that time, I said, they need to fix these regular roads, because like I say, they fix them pretty, they tear them up. So I try to reach out to different people.
Where on Spring Hill were you?
Right where Michael Donner Street and the old CLC school was. And I mean, it told my car, slap up. I was able to steer over in a parking lot. I didn't help. I had to call towing, so forth, so forth. Nobody couldn't crank my car. This was the perfect car. My daughter gave me that car, hardly no miles on it. She gave it to me. And it destroyed my car. I went through a lot of emotional things. I would come to the city, which I have a paper here, that I filled out. The adjuster called me, and they would ask me, they would tell me, well, it don't look like our problem. It's the water board, you know. So I was going like from zigzag, zigzag. Really didn't know where. I needed my car fixed because my car just sitting up in the yard. I recently got it fixed about 2 weeks ago. I had to get a used motor to go in my car, but it tore my car slap up. Like I said, I am a citizen, but just because I didn't have full coverage, I had liability, and I'm coming down at a spot with no corners, no lights, and I run into it, and I tore my car up. I have damages, I have pictures, I have statements, and that's my point. I done everything I could do, everything. I done told the truth, had witnesses, and I go through this. You know, it really been a mind thing. I'd have been sick because I had to go through, you know, just trying to get backwards and forth to work. Didn't know I was getting backwards and forth using other people's car, but I had to get a motor in my car, a whole motor. I had to get in my car. So my point is, where do I stand? I've been standing by myself, but I need help. I need somebody to say, well, man, we see these proofs. We see evidence. We see your receipt that you pulled out of your pocket and you paid. But just like I said, I didn't have full coverage, but I shouldn't be held accountable. You can go out on that road right now. You know it's a default. You know it's a boom boom. But that night, that doom doom tore my car up.
Ms. Ambrose, that section of town that you referenced happens to be in my district, and I agree with you. Yeah. We have spent millions of dollars resurfacing, restriping, refurbishing, revitalizing streets. These utilities come in with no regard and put these divots and covers and big holes in the middle of the street. But there is somebody that's going to stand with you.
Oh, thank you.
And he's ready to stand with you. And that person is City Attorney Ricardo Woods.
Let the church say amen.
He will stand with you. And he's already agreed to talk with you. No, you don't have to cry. Please don't cry.
I just get emotional.
I can't, don't start the waterworks.
Yes, sir.
But I'm going to go to crying with you. My heart go out to you. You've done all you can do. And if there is a way to move forward, Mr. Woods in his office is going to be able to help you.
Yes,
Mr. Woods, is there anything you'd like to say?
So I read the agenda sign-up item, and I know this particular area. When the city repaves, it's not the city that goes back and tears up those.
Right.
That's actually a bigger problem. But the city also doesn't take responsibility for it. So this is not the forum where we talk about it, but I'll be more than happy to sit down and talk to you about it.
He can help you direct. He can help direct you to the appropriate persons.
That's what I need.
And he's willing to do that. Do you mind sharing your information with Mr. Wood? That is so thoughtful of you. And Ms. Ambrose, thank you for coming down today.
Thank y'all for listening.
Yes, ma'am.
Irene Antone, regarding Resolution 09842.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
y'all so much. Thank you.
City Clerk, how many additional?
Good morning. I'm the Good Shepherd of Mobile, Irene Antone, 2202 Clinton Street. On our budget I want to know what part of the budget is the CLIP money in, because I had CLIP money from 1918 for striping and sidewalks, and I have not heard. They say, see this, see this, see this, see the mayor, he gone. And I did all of those things. My council person told me what to do after 5 days. After 5 days, nothing has happened. Told me to see Miss White. She was a beautiful lady. Nothing has happened. And in that situation, those kids are walking to school, and the street is narrow, it's not strict, and we stopped the buses, city buses, from coming down there 20 years ago. Now, on the other side of Clinton, we have sidewalks going up to the floor, but we do not have sidewalks going to Holloway. So I want some help. And then one more thing. You all said something about background checks. Right now, Mr. Vice President, you can go to McDonald's and buy a cheeseburger, and you will be with drugs, because those sesame seeds on there are drugs. And I say that because my daughter works for Maxwell Air Base, and they had her for drugs. They found out what she ate, and she wasn't on drugs more. So be careful with what you eat, where you eat it from, and for whatever, situation is.
Thank you.
Reggie Hill, regarding same resolution 09842.
Mr. Hall.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Members of the council, to the administration and citizen stakeholders, good afternoon. Reggie Hill, 1007 Center Street. I rise today to speak on 09842 about adoption of our city budget. I want to thank the council for a very lively debate this morning. We got to see some, I believe, passion that is often missed down here in the more formal setting, but it's an opportunity for us to really see how we can actually move forward in the position of where we think our resources should go. And that's very important. That's how you can determine a lot about any individual, particularly a municipality, where we spend our resources. For multiple years, I've come down and I've spoken in the idea of public safety being at that forefront piece. Because I believe after that's in place, basically everything else just goes in line. I want to commend the chairman of the Finance Committee for wanting to get this pushed through in a timely manner that is reflective of the act that we all go by here in this municipality. I was disappointed that we didn't have the Finance Committee meeting last week, but more importantly, the input from the public, I believe, has not really been emphasized as much as it should be. I believe that one meeting for us to come down and speak, particularly at an hour such as this, well, really 2 hours before now, is maybe not the most accessible or convenient for our citizens to participate. Last week, the chairman of the council suggested that all amendments be turned in before Thursday, if there were any suggestions of changes. And I submitted something. And today, we hear that there was no submission. Now, bless you. Now, maybe in the eyes of many, the citizens' input is not that vital. maybe that could be the case. Bless you. But I believe that these are our taxpayers' dollars. And I think that we should have more of an opportunity to be engaged in this process. So Ms. Mary Ann is not here today, who I submitted those items to, and just for the record, I would like it to be known, Mr. Chairman, those suggestions that were made and why I believe they're beneficial. The first thing that I suggested was $140,000 for an increase to discretionary spending for the City Council. Why is that? We're getting to the end of the fiscal year now, and we're relinquishing certain resources, but there are so many groups that could do so much to improve the quality of life in the city, but there's never the resources available. Well, if you have that increase there, your citizens can come to you directly and show you a plan of what can be done and how those resources can be allocated. So you already have commitments that you usually keep year-round, annually. And so that prevents you from having room for other ideas to come to the table. So I believe that's very important. You need a $140,000 increase so you can at least get $20 additional $1,000 per district to implement projects that matter. The next thing is $350,000, I believe, should go towards performance contracts. We look at the idea of taking a proactive approach. Too often, with many of the public safety issues we have in the city, we're reacting instead of putting in place programs that could prevent us from even having these experiences. And once again, it's because of resources that are not available. So if we put an additional $350,000 there, and you average it between $5,000 and $10,000 alone, there's a plethora of new projects that can come to the table, at least an opportunity to show you that this can work. And the final piece, and this is a total, to make a total of $500,000. And where I believe this can come from, we saw where we were pulling $8 million from the reserves. And I saw where there was an increase of about $6.5 million for public safety. We could pull $500,000 from that increase alone, and you would still have $6 million for public safety. Additional $6 million. They would still be there. And this would equal up this $500,000 that we're saying. The final $10,000, I'm grateful that the county had taken the initiative to move forward and allowing an opportunity to be put in place, get something done. And I want to challenge the council to do the same thing. I've submitted the paperwork. I've submitted the information. So we don't have to go through all of that. It's there. And we have an opportunity to move the city forward, which can eventually move the state forward. I always come down here talking about we're the innovators. So I challenge you to look at those numbers. So there was someone that submitted an amendment. It may just have been a citizen. It may just have been a common citizen. Maybe it didn't have any regard or respect for what it was that was presented. But it's there. And I think we should make ways for the public to have more engagement in this. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. And Madam City Clerk?
Diane Martin. This is regarding Resolution 21866 Memorial Park.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Diane Martin, and I live at 262 Levert Street, 36607 in Mr. Richardson's district. And thank you all this morning. I am president of Keep Mobile Beautiful, and we're working on several different projects, a number of different projects, but I wanted to call your attention to a couple. One of them is we're trying to work on extending the plantings from Florida Street to Titan in the medians in that area. And we are working with some other people trying to pull together the Mobile Azalea Trail Festival. And this should be an umbrella that will oversee publicity for all the different many wonderful things that we have going on in our city in that March period of time. You know, including, you know, the Azalea Trail Run, Festival of Flowers, all sorts of different things that are going on. And we're hoping to bring in even more activities for that. And we're seeking some funding from the county, and we're going to seek some tourism money from the state to hopefully get some of this really going for Mobile. So I wanted to let you know about that. We're also going to apply for, now this sounds really stupid, we're going to apply to be a Azalea City. I mean, okay, I've grown up here all my life, and it's always been the Port City and the Azalea City. Well, in 1970, there was an Azalea, the Azalea Society for America has had certification for cities to be azalea cities, and we don't have that, so we want to do that. One of the things on the form does ask for somebody from the municipality to sign off on it. So I'll be coming back to you when we get that packet all together, because there's a number of different historic things that have to be pulled for that. You have on your agenda Memorial Park. Memorial Park has been a beautiful place, and now it looks real barren. So, you know, I knew that something was coming up. We hope that you will request in your contract to be able to have azaleas as part of the beautification to Memorial Park. I've been really, I mean, we're trying to encourage citizens and all these people to plant azaleas to help bring focus to this, to something that we are known for. And then we go to our, like, Bienville Square. The plantings that are in Bienville Square could be in any city. And I have a gorgeous picture of the fountain and the beautiful azaleas blooming that was taken a few years back. That's no longer the case. I think we need to make Bienville Square, I know there's plans that have been talked about, but I think azaleas need to be part of it. You know, I'm not saying that's the only thing we have to plant. You know, variety is the spice of life, but azaleas need to be part of this. You look, I pulled up and saw this beautiful postcard of Lions Park, historic postcard. You know, it's barren. You know, we need some beautification. We are here to help work with that. We can work with helping the plantings of the azaleas, and we would like to be a part of it, and we would like for you to help us to incorporate this into our city and to our public parts of our city.
Well, Ms. Martin, I certainly appreciate you coming down, and I appreciate you and the volunteers.
Yes, we are all volunteers.
Yes, ma'am, that continue to move, keep Mobile beautiful. That's our overarching goal. This effort at Memorial Park is the first phase, and I want to publicly thank Ms. Cammie Israel and the committee that she's been with, that have been instrumental in getting this first phase off the ground. In this upcoming year's CIP program, we're dedicating quite a number of resources to Lions Park to begin the beautification process there. And I'm hopeful that azaleas will be integral to all of the replanting that will take place at all of these parks. And again, thank you for coming down.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'd like to comment, if I may.
Sure.
And thank you for all the efforts with Keep Mobile Beautiful. District 6 has an initiative for Grelot Road. There are dirt piles out there, especially up towards Cody Road. I don't know if you're familiar with that area. Funds have been allocated, and I've been working with our urban forester and Public Works to do a project and to get plantings there. I will certainly contact Keep Mobile Beautiful.
Yes, we had been on ready to help work with that project.
Right.
And then we never heard
Right, it
back.
hasn't really gotten out the chute yet.
Okay, but yes, please do give us a call.
Great, thank you. I look
thank
forward to
you.
that.
And I have some areas, the Plateau community, the Maysville community, and down on the bay, we're getting ready to place some heritage markers in all of those areas, and would love to have you as assistance in helping to beautify the areas around that.
Just give us a call.
100%. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Yes. Ms. Martin, the council has an inactive Keep Mobile Beautiful board. And I would like to see us
Yeah, the commission.
activate, activate.
I served on that at one time.
But I think it'll just give more fuel to what you all have done because each one of us would have an appointee on the board.
Right.
That would be working in conjunction with you. In other words, my board member would come to say, well, in District 1, this is what the focal point is. And then the other one said, well, in District 6, this is what we're focusing on. Then you have the whole city to be focused on. But it's difficult to do that if you don't have the input
Right. At one time, the commission, the board, the nonprofit board, and the city all worked hand in glove, but that's no longer the case. Not to our,
So
not on our fault.
would your group be adverse to working with the Keep Mobile Beautiful board?
Sure. The commission, or
Yeah,
the
the council.
defunct commission?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. I just want trying to explore
We try and
that.
work with everybody.
Well, right now, it's difficult because a lot of programs that we had in the past, we gave it to our representative who got the Keep Mobile Beautiful group to come in. We pulled off a lot of cleanup programs. This and that.
Right. And
We're
we
absolutely
are
all of
working
that.
with cleanups. We have a storage unit that we work out of, since we don't have an office. So we have cleanup kits that we check out, grabbers, gloves, safety vests. We give them garbage bags, and we have all of it checked out for this coming weekend with the coastal cleanup.
Okay.
And but we are constantly working with churches and community groups to help them do those cleanups.
Okay, all righty. Glad you came down.
It's 444-7144.
Hold it.
That's Keep Mobile Beautiful's number.
444, what else?
444-7144. And that number, you have to leave a recording, and then we get back with you.
Where are you meeting?
Where do we meet? We meet at the Chamber of Commerce. We're members of the Mobile Chamber of Commerce and the Southwest Mobile Chamber of Commerce as well.
Wow.
Great, great.
We've got a big cleanup, recycling planned for, I believe it's the 9th of November at the Tillman's Corner Community Center area. It's going to be focused there. We've always done a cleanup, but we're going to be doing a recycling and a shredding event along with that for National Recycle Day.
Okay, all right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Good seeing you.
Thank you.
Ordinance is held over. 64033, rezone property located at 2407 O'Shell Road, R1 to LB2.
So moved.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
87034, ordinance deeming property at 911 Dolphin Street not now needed for public or municipal purposes and authorizing a lease to the Historic Restoration Society.
Move we lay this item over for a period of 2 weeks.
Second?
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolutions held over. 09844 to adopt the 2019-2020 fiscal year budget for the city of Mobile.
Motion lay over to October the 8th.
Second?
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? Absent any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed. That would be 6-1 with the opposition from Mr. John Charles Williams.
There are no objections. I'm going to take all these at one time. 09843, transfer $750,000 from the general to capital projects lab People's Stadium. 09844, allocate $70,000 from the stormwater fee fund to capital project CO 446 for the purchase of a dump truck and other additional stormwater management activities. 21845, authorized contract with Watkins AC Struck Design for Lab People's Stadium walking trail design. 21846, authorized contract with Rush Truck Centers of Alabama for oil change and vehicle inspection services for heavy trucks. 09847, reallocate monies from Public Works Administration, Maintenance and Repairs, the General Fund, to Capital Project Public Works Security Improvements in the Capital Improvement Fund. 21848, authorized contract RGLG, doing business as Service Master Services, janitorial services for various City of Mobile locations. 37849, approve a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Shivani McDuffie, doing business as To Go Money Services, to operate a shuttle service.
Second.
Probably moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Rich?
I'll just be real brief with 09-843, which is the transfer of funds to Lad People's Stadium. I appreciate the administration working along with the council to see this money being allocated and assigned for a walking path and to make capital improvement projects that I know the Lad Stadium Board, there were some representatives, I think they've left the hall, but again, I thank them for their time. They are an all-volunteer board represented by each council person on that board, and I look forward to seeing this being seamless, and I also appreciate the fact that the walking path and the design firm is on our agenda as well. It's another agenda item, but I'm glad to see this transpire. Thank you.
Well, I echo those sentiments from Councilwoman Rich. Glad to see these items move forward for a formalized first-class walking trail to be there at Ladd Stadium. If you go out in the mornings and in the evenings, in the cool of the evening, you'll see citizens already walking around Ladd Stadium, and so this will be a great improvement, and for them to have these resources, or for us to have the resources that will go toward capital improvements to make certain that Ladd is a safe place for people to come and enjoy, I think is certainly an important item. And I'm glad that these items are on the agenda. Any further discussion? Not? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance is being introduced for the first time, 64035.
By Council Rule 64035, relay over for 1 week.
Consent resolutions being introduced for the first time, 03852 through 6870.
Motion to suspend the rules for immediate consideration of resolution 03852 through 6870.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye.
03852, appoint Emily Killian to the History Museum of Mobile Board. 08853, approve requisitions over $7,500 for the week of September the 9th. 31854, authorize grant application to ADECA for the fiscal year 2020 ADECA equipment grant. 40855, 856, 857, 858, 889, and 860 are fixing the cost for demolition of structures at 09 Irwin Street, 1754 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue, 2457 Dolphin Island Parkway, 703 Euclid Avenue, 614 Mohawk Street, 4212 Zach Logan Avenue. 58, 861, and 862 are authorizing removal of weeds and declaring weeds noxious, groups 1596 and 1599. 60-863, approval board of special bonus to Officer of the Month, Rory Graves. 60-864, declare the mold remediation at the Sanger Theater an emergency and award contract based on quotes without public advertising. 660-69, determining, and 870 are determining expenditures to the Child Advocacy Center and Penelope House serve a public purpose and approve payment.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's passed.
Resolutions being introduced for the first time, 01865 through 21868.
By Council Rules, said resolution relay over for 1 week.
Announcements.
I have none.
Mr. Williams?
None, thank you.
Mr. Small?
Thank you, Vice President Manzi. Next week, we'll be having our district meeting, which will be held at the Revelation Baptist Church, 1711 Taylor Lane. Starting at 5 o'clock p.m., we will have a job fair where we had invited out several people that are offering jobs in our community, such as the personnel board, the Mobile Fire Department, Airbus, Walmart, AIDT, and also we're going to have several speakers to also be at our community meeting. Captain Melvin Jones of the Mobile Police Department, Captain of the 1st Precinct, also Mr. John P. with Public Works, Mr. Chris Powell with Municipal Enforcement Officers, and two big things that people have been talking about in the district, and that is the Mobile Housing Board and also the Airport Authority. Mr. Michael Pierce and Mr. Chris Kerr will also be in attendance at our meeting. The meeting actually would start itself at 6 o'clock p.m., but the job fair would start at 5 o'clock p.m. Again, this would be held at the Revelation Baptist Church on next week, looking for all of District 3 to be out in attendance. Thank you, Vice President Manzi.
Absolutely no problem, Mr. Small. Mr. Richardson.
Yes, I would just like for the citizens in the Midtown community to know that we've scheduled a community meeting on Thursday, October the 24th at the Ashland Place United Methodist Church. Meeting will start at 6 p.m. Although it's a little over a month away, I just want you to know we are coming your way.
That's what?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, Mr. Daves?
No announcements.
Oh, Mrs. Rich?
Yes, thank you. I appreciated all of the dialogue we had about our budget and, look forward to a resolve and also the court answering our request for summary judgment about Section 40. The library group came down and spoke about their need to have increase because they were given a raise. I have legislation that we passed that lists the library board as having adequate funding through our resources, and so I will be making an amendment in that request, and I have some other amendments, so you all can look forward to that. Call me, and we can discuss the amendments that I will bring forth. Thanks, but that's one of them, and the documentation is very clear. And that's 09-444.
I'm not doubting that you have that, Ms. Rich. It's also been brought to my attention that they also went to the Mobile County Personnel Board and requested a 2.5% raise.
I think the
on
board
behalf of
has
their
to do
employees.
that by protocol.
I understand that, Ms. Rich. I'm not fighting the library, but we've been told that they're not city employees. We'll wait till the budget.
We'll talk. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Ms.
That's
Gregory.
it. Thank you.
I get sidetracked. Ms. Gregory.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a few things. Over the weekend, I saw a photo of another alligator at Langan Lake, and we know about it. Alligators do live in bodies of water like that throughout the city, so occasionally there are going to be alligators at Langan Lake. People have told me over the last year or so that it's not unusual to see alligators there, so we just want to make sure that everyone understands that they can be there and to please use extra caution, especially if you have small children playing near the water's edge, if you were trying the geese or the ducks, or you have your dogs walking there. Just understand that there could be an alligator there, and they have been seen recently. Our Parks Department knows about it. Our Police Department will be put on notice, just to make sure that everyone is safe and secure at our parks. So just, again, I just wanted everyone to know that from time to time, you will see an alligator there, and one has been spotted recently, over the weekend. Also, we are putting together focus groups and a steering committee for implementing plans for Langan Park's future. I have already gotten a lot of interest from people throughout the district and the city, so stay tuned. We'll be sending out more information about these focus groups along with dates where they will be meeting. And last but not least, I will be meeting this evening with Mobile Botanical Gardens members and their board of directors as we continue working through the issues that they have. And the good news is the city is going to be working with the gardens. I think everyone will be very satisfied with what the final result is, but I will be there tonight to meet with the group of volunteers and their board of directors. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all. Oh, and before I go, I forgot, I wish Ms. Smith was here. I wanted to thank her and her department for doing such a great job on getting Ziegler Boulevard cut. I cruise out working this weekend. They had the slope mower out, weeders, and they were really doing a great job on cutting Ziegler Boulevard. So just a big thank you to our Parks Department that oversees all of the mowing.
Thank you, Ms. Gregory. I'll be meeting tonight with the Lafayette Heights Community Organization. Look forward to that meeting. As always, President Merritt Stevenson, such a great community advocate, and we're going to be acknowledging the work in the community very soon. She lives on Bassel Street, and I'll be bringing a resolution to honorarily rename that in her honor in short order, because she has really been a tremendous help in that area of this district and across this community. I'm going to ask my colleagues again, let's get all of our amendments relative to the budget turned in to our finance chair by this Thursday. And to the clerk. You got a copy of the city clerk? Matter of fact, send it to the city clerk and copy it to Joe. Get all of those amendments in so that we can move forward in an effective manner. We have a little more time, and one of the benefits of that is that we can get these amendments submitted. A lot of citizens aren't in the position to come to the 10:30 meeting, and we recognize that. But through the advent of technology, Facebook, internet, emails, we have gotten all kinds of input as it relates to this budget. So I don't want it to be this notion that only one or two people have contacted me relative to the budget. That would not be factual. I have gotten all kinds of emails about projects that people across the length and breadth of this city love and want to see funded. And those emails have impact, and those emails and those phone calls and those text messages and Facebook messages do help me as I deliberate over our budget. It's the people's money. And if we had it at 5 o'clock in the evening, somebody would complain, I got to cook dinner, my husband need his clothes washed, I couldn't come because you know the children just got out of school. You're not going to please everybody with your timing. But we do the best that we can, and we listen to each and every one who wants to be listened to. And so with that, is there a motion? It was probably moved and second that we would adjourn. All in favor? All opposed? Meeting is adjourned.